Peace and love, everyone. Islam. Hotep. First of all, I want to give a disclaimer. Anything that's said here on Morris Science Revealed is not necessarily of a specific grand body or group or any fraction. Morris fraction is definitely the opinions of the interviewer and the host and the hostee and those guests. So just put that disclaimer out there so nobody would, get any feelings. But I advise everyone put disclaimers on their information or whatever they let out. But today I have Prestige Dr.alimEl Bey, Prince. I would love to put, if I had to put a noble Prince, alimEl Bey. Thank you for this being a guest.
Appreciate you having me on.
Some of the things I want to talk about is you just came back from the Melanin conference.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just touch on what some of the key things y'all discussed at the Melanin conference?
Essentially what I spoke about was how solar radiation, heat, solar winds, corona mass ejections, which is called solar flares, super flares, mega flares, play an effect upon the DNA of our human body, as well as also that melanin has its own DNA, and whenever these particular rays or cosmic energies hits our melanin centers, or what is called our chakras, our auric field, our melanocytes, our hair follicles, we become energized.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, if I were to, let's say, if I was in the sun for a good portion of time,
Right.
And my hair was exposed, you say my hair would absorb that energy?
Yes.
Or and transfer it into my body?
Inside your body, yes.
And it would be almost like I'm eating from my hair follicles.
You're eating cosmic energy. Yes.
Wow.
Your melanocytes act as black holes. It has black holes properties, so therefore, as we know that when light enters into a black hole, light cannot escape. So therefore, this light becomes a permanent fixture to your bodily energy or energetic body.
So my melanocytes, just to rewind, you said that they have black hole properties.
We have dedicated a whole hour and a half to every week, known as melanin, is a critical factor because it allows you to directly interact and mediate with all known frequencies of the magneto-electric light spectrum. And for those of you who are astute, you recognize that I have reversed the connotation that it is electric, magnetic. The dominance here is magnetic. So this is a magneto-electric light spectrum that we're dealing with in this frequency, not electromagnetic. It's really reversed. And it's important that we have to understand that. It has been our misunderstanding and constantly supported the electric aspect of our energy capabilities that has been so disturbing to this planet. The only reason why we exist is because of the predominant magnetic field. It is the magnetic capabilities in space that allows the quantum particles to adhere to one another once they actually are stopped in space by coming in contact with consciousness. Quantum particles are stopped in their motion. They're perpetually in motion, but they stop when they come into contact with a conscious field, a thought field. And when that thought field emanates a particular formation, a geometric formation, these particles then will actually stop, and as they continuously collide into one another because they have stopped in this field of consciousness, they adhere. And this adherence is a magnetic phenomenon, which causes them to come together. They grow and they grow and they grow, and voila, what you have is known as matter or mass. Now, these particles, they commit to this phenomena in every frequency of light that we know of. So the collapsing of matter in what is known as the Hertzian frequency, or our radio frequency, or the frequency that causes us to be dense as we are, is, for the most part, how we understand reality to be. But there is the condensation and the collapsing of quantum particles in infrared, in visual light spectrum, in the ultraviolet blue spectrum, and obviously there is complete realities there. We have been hardwired to be able to access and interact with the realities, the quantum particles that are collapsing in each of those frequencies. And that hardwiring system is known as the microtubule or carbial system that makes...
So what specifically would be considered a property of a black hole in comparison to a melanocyte?
Well, the fact is that melanocytes is what give you the ability in order to have the hue in which that you have,
right.
Your pigmentation. Therefore, what is told about a melanocyte is that it produces the chemical in which that is Greek terminology called melanin. In ancient Kemet or Tamari, what is called ancient Egypt, it was called kimwe.
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 So they actually knew even back then,
yes,
these properties, and that the sun actually had this effect on,
yes,
the melanocytes in the skin as well.
Yes, and this is shown on the walls of ancient Kemet or in the Mechu Neter. As you see of Akhenaten and Nefertiti and his children, they're outside in front of the Atan, which is the sun, in which that is in Hebrew, it's called Adonai, and they're, have their hands raised as in a form of praise, and the rays of the sun is coming down in the shape of hands, and ankhs symbolize, right to the nose is the ankh, symbolizes that the sun rays and the breath of life is what you extracted from the solar energy, is what is called cosmic energy or prana or chi or ki energy.
Right.
So that ankh symbol symbolize you taking that source of energy into your body. And the hand symbolizes the fact of the nurturing effect of the sun, because the sun is the giver of life upon this planet.
Wow. Okay, let's break off into that one point you said. Now, I heard you explain many times about that metanetu, or that so-called hieroglyph of Akhenaten and his wife and the rays and their children. Now, my thing is that you specifically said just now is that the rays or the ankh touching the nose represented the breath of life.
Right. Same thing that when in the book of Genesis it states that God breathed into the nostrils of man and made man a living soul. So the nose is always it's the gauge point, as we would say, for your human existence. It's the interface between your physical body and the environment. Your nose is the only organ actually that does that interface in that manner.
So
and it does to that degree.
Really?